fancy intro. Cha-cha-cha. Hey everybody, jtxdesertrat here. I just wanted to preface this video by saying that I apologize. We ran into some technical difficulties, and unfortunately just a few minutes into the video, the mic for some reason cut out. I didn't want to lose the footage because it's happened a few times, and I hate when I lose footage and then you guys get you don't get to see everything that happens because it gets cut out. So on this one, I'm gonna do something a little different. I don't like doing this normally, but I'm gonna go ahead and after the mic cuts out, I'll just do some narration and try to explain what's going on as it's happening, but it won't be audio live while the game's happening. It'll actually be placed on there afterwards. So this is gonna be different from what we normally do, but I had no choice with the audio messing up like it did. And the game audio was fine, it was just the mic audio that messed up, and so all of a sudden I couldn't talk anymore. Or, well, I was talking the entire time, just you can't hear it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome back everybody, jtxdesertrat here, coming at you from the rat hole. Yep, that's right, I'm in my ratty little hole over here. Still not all prettied up, but I do have some things to show you. Now, unfortunately, I was recording for about 45 minutes a while ago, and my computer crashed, and I lost everything. So I'm just gonna go over with you what was done, and hopefully we can just go from there. I've got some works in progress, so we're just gonna keep going along, keep on trucking just like it didn't happen, but I will show you everything that I was doing. Now, the first thing is right here. We've got a new disk drive. If you notice this one, when you see red, that means they're full. When you see orange, that means they're almost full. So our disk drive has gotten pretty full. So what I did is I made another one, but this one's a little different. This one has 4,000 on each disk. So what that means is two of these, you just take the top two, are as much as all of this over here, and we've got two of them, so it's the equivalent of having three of these side by side. So we're doing good right now with storage. Now this isn't gonna last forever, it's just a short-term fix, and eventually I'd like to have 16 or even 64K drives in these, but for now we'll do what we can. I'm trying to remember everything I was doing. One of the issues we've been having, and that was bothering me, is if we look down here, we've got our mystical agriculture, our magical crops, whatever you want to call them. They're growing, but it's so time consuming, and it's so hard for me to sit here and do this by hand. And when I'm not here, when I'm mining or something else and I'm not standing here, then we're missing out on stuff. And these are our future. Now, what do they always say? They say you have to spend money to make money. Well, this is sort of the same thing. We have to spend resources. Resources we're running so low on, but that's in order to make resources. Now, the resources we need to make are the ones that will help us produce power, because the other problem we're having is we've got this capacitor here, and it is just running on coal, on the red coal that I'm making, but it's still not even keeping it full, and we're spending a lot of coal. I'm going to end up spending as much time mining for coal as I am producing anything, that actually playing or doing anything. So one of the things I've done is I made this, and this was what I was showing you in the video that got messed up. This is a slice and splice. Now with this slice and splice, alright, and that's where my video went to pot. Sorry about that. But basically I was explaining the slice and splice. Slice and splice. Doggone it, slice and splice. And what it does is it just helps us make other stuff. And in this instance, the main thing I wanted to focus on was the farming station. but you need the slice and splice, as you can see here, to put together these items to make certain ingredients that go with it. And it uses like solarium and stuff like that, and it basically allows you to build, well, like all the machines, you need one machine to be able to build other machines. So in our farming station, which I really need to get, is the farming station to help down there with the magical crops. This is going to come in key to getting those automated, because if I sit and do it by hand, which I tried to do, it just takes absolutely forever. So with the slice and splice, it's going to let me make the farming station. The farming station in turn will automatically collect the crops, and it'll just go so much faster. And it also collects the seeds, so as it's collecting the crops, it'll collect the seeds, and things will go a lot faster than if I just sit there and do it by hand. And now what the farming station does is it not only harvests the crops, but as it gains seeds from those crops, it will replant them or plant new ones in another area. And you can set it up, there's 4 quadrants there. You can set it up for each of the 4 quadrants, different kinds of seeds or everything the same, what have you, and it will take care of it all for you. Basically like having your own little villager is what it equates to. But handy machine. Always thought it was awesome. I've used it before on another server, and not one I've done videos on, but it works fantastically. The only issue is it does draw a little bit of power, and as of now I'm still having issues with the power for some reason. Wow, this room just looks terrible. It looks terrible. So yeah, definitely gonna have to get it cleaned up and nice. But what we're doing here is trying to figure out exactly where I need to run the pipes, because I do have to run power to it. So I don't want them running above ground or even on the floor where they look bad, or they just cause issues because things will spawn and get stuck in there and whatnot, or you'll just fall in it when you're running through. So in my opinion, the best way to go about it is, that's why I always try to build 3 deep when I build a house. Between floors, I like to go 3 deep, and the reason is that way in the center of those 3 you can run your conduits and your power cables, item cables, anything like that you may need. Now, I didn't know it at this time, but there's actually facades that you can put down. So I could have ran it straight on the floor or straight on the ceiling of the other room, and it would have been just fine, because those facades, which they're a little expensive to make, but those facades make it look like whatever it is you're on. Now, I don't know how they would work, say, with dirt. I don't think you can still put down dirt and then till it and plant on it. So I don't think it would work in like a garden type environment. But if you're just running it across stone or anything like that, yeah, the facades are absolutely outstanding. I love the whole concept of them, and they work beautifully. It's just a block that looks like the block you're using. And as you can see here, I've got all my machines set up. I like the setup. I like having my machines all against one wall, and the reason for that is it's easy access. So I'm accessing the grid where I can see all my items. Well, I don't even have to move. I can just turn to the left or to the right. If I need to, say, cook something in the smelter, I can just turn over, hit the smelter, bam, cook it up. Well, it's going right there. And with this, I believe that's for making, yeah, this is for making more conduits. So I put the you have to get the ingredients together and bake them, and when you bake them, it gives you the other ingredients you need to actually craft the item. So that's what's going on here, is I'm getting everything together. And like I said with this, I love it because everything's right there, handy. You don't have to run from one room to another. You don't have to turn around behind you and access other stuff. If you just put everything up on one wall. Now, I don't have it set up in the most efficient way, but it's just all right there in one wall, so it's easily accessible. Now, I do need to break it down eventually and put everything together, because what I did is, as I was building the wall of machinery, some of the stuff got separated, so I'll have like a smeltery and then something else and then another smeltery, and it should be smeltery stacked on top of each other or side by side, something like that. And these conduits, I love these conduits because they allow you to run power. And unbeknownst to me at the time that I originally started working with conduits, I didn't know it, but you can run multiple conduits together. I think you can have up to like 5 going together, as far as a power conduit, then an item conduit, and then a fluid conduit. They all actually only take up 1 block of space. Now right here I'm just using 1, but I could have ran, say, an item conduit coming back up to my grid system to place all the items in. But for the time being, I'm just running the power down to it. And here, working again with the photovoltaic cells, the thing I do with them is every chance I get, as soon as I get new materials, if I have extra, if I have enough, I always try to make 1 or 2. Because if you're going along and playing the game, it's hard to make a big stack, because they are expensive, so it's hard to make a big stack of them at a time. So what you do is, as you're going, as the game progresses, just every once in a while stop, and if you've got the materials for it, build a couple of the cells. And with each cell, you increase the amount of power you're bringing in. So over time, if you're slowly doing that over time, before long, without even realizing it, you're going to have a massive amount of them. And it's just, if you have enough self-discipline to stop yourself every once in a while, just make 1 or 2, go ahead and place them, and you're good to go. You're eventually gonna be good. But the reason I'm trying to make them here is because that farming station takes up power, and so it's just 1 more machine we're adding in, but it runs constantly. So it's 1 more machine we're adding in that's gonna run constantly, just like the grid system, that we're gonna need power for. And anything that runs off power, RF power, you're gonna need to have some way to supply that power. And as I've stated before, with the coal, it costs so much to get the coal and continuously mine it, continuously place it, that you start to run out of stuff. You start to run out of stuff, and you end up spending more time mining than you do actually playing the game. But alright, I'm gonna go ahead now and just sit back and let you watch what's going on. I know there's not gonna be sound, I won't be explaining everything, but if it gets to a part where I think you need to know what's going on, I'll pop back in and give an explanation of what's happening. Okay, and there we go. It's what I was explaining earlier. It was just gathering up the energy conduits, gathering all the material for them, cooking the material I need, then taking the final process material and building the actual conduits. And I love these things. I love the fact that you can run power, and I understand that there's always been redstone that you could do similar stuff with, but to me, I like the fact that I can see the pipe. I can run it. It's like doing plumbing or anything else like that requires pipes, and it just makes it more of a realistic experience, and I really appreciate that about some of these mods, how they actually bring in real world stuff and let you go with something more like you would see in reality. Okay, and one of the things that this the farming machine station requires is you do need a hoe. That unfortunately is one item that you have to constantly replace. You put a hoe in it, and it's just like if you were using one yourself. Eventually, it wears out, and you have to get another one. So with this, you have to put a hoe in there and allow it to get a new one. But now the farm's automated, so it should be gathering its own seeds, it should be harvesting on its own, everything should be good. So I'm super excited about that. That is going to make things a lot easier. And as you can see right there, a seed already popped up, so it planted that seed. So it gained another seed, and boom, it planted it right there. And what we're doing here is we're getting a chest. The amount of storage that's in the farming station, I believe it's 6 slots, so it's not a whole lot. So if you put a chest down next to it, you can have all of your stuff dumped into that chest, so it can fill up. We could put an iron chest there, we could put a diamond chest, just a small wooden chest, whatever, and it will eventually fill that chest up with all the items that it harvests. Now your seeds will still go back into the machine to be planted wherever it needs to go, but any items that you harvest, the iron or the inferium, anything like that, will be sent to the chest, which is just too awesome. And yeah, I know I'm just I'm using cobble to cover everything up, but that's just so I don't fall into stuff. And I'm about to replace all the floors, all the walls, and everything anyway, so all that will change. Okay, and here what I'm looking into is my next power supply. So I want to run something from outside down into the capacitors and everything to bring that power in. Oh, and of course, being the world's worst gamer, I have to get attacked by the only zombie in the area. Now, what I did here is I built the photovoltaic cell, and because where the house is located, it looked like the sunlight wasn't going to quite be able to get to the cell as much as I wanted it to. So I built up trying to get it on a raised platform to gather as much sunlight as possible. And this is the small cell right here that only gives you it only gives you 10 RS a tick, I believe. And so it's not the best, but it's you know, somewhere to start. At least it's going to be bringing in some power. And as I've said before, it's free power. And once you build it, you've got it forever. So it'll always bring in that power. You don't have to worry about putting some coal in it or anything like that. You just got power. Okay, and we'll go ahead and cut here until we get everything together. Alright, and there we go. We've got everything run. We've got our one little cell up there running. And we have it going down into our grid system and into our capacitor. So it should be filling it up, giving us extra power, augmenting that coal power from the generator that we have going right now. And eventually we'll increase that. We'll add more cells. It'll be bringing in more power, which will be nice. And in the meantime, we're just going to go ahead and continue to use our coal or whatever we can down here with the generators to keep everything going. Once again, I want to apologize for the audio issues. Also, the issue that happened prior to this where I had an entire video done and ready to go and lost it. I don't know why all these technical issues always want to happen to me, but hey, we just push through and keep going and try to make things happen. But I hope you enjoyed this. The next one will be done in the correct format. Won't have to do any of this slicing and splicing like our slice and splice machine there, and it should be back to normal. But I want to thank everybody for being here. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy, please go ahead and hit that like button. It's greatly appreciated. And Joseph and Liam, I love you guys, and we'll see you next time.